Welcome to the complete guide to conditional sentences in English. This is an advanced lesson covering everything from basic conditionals to inversion and formal structures. If you're preparing for Cambridge exams or want to master conditionals at a C1 or C2 level, this video is for you. Let's get started. First, let's talk about conjunctions that introduce conditional sentences. While if is the most common, there are many others. After, as a consequence of, as long as, assuming, even if, these all introduce conditions. Notice how each conjunction connects a condition to a result. We also have if only, which expresses regret, once, meaning as soon as, only if, which is more restrictive, and providing, which sets specific conditions. Each of these creates a different nuance in your conditional sentence. Unless means if not, or, except if. Until establishes a time limit, when and whenever add temporal conditions. Here's an important point about punctuation. When the conditional clause comes first, we use a comma. When the main clause comes first, we don't. Conditional sentences express that an action in the main clause can only happen if a certain condition is met. There are different types: 0, first, second, third, and mixed conditionals. Each type has a specific structure and meaning. We'll cover all of them. Unless is extremely common in conditionals. It means, if not, or except if. We use the present simple after unless, just like with if. For example, unless you've purchased tickets, you won't be able to attend. Means if you haven't purchased tickets, you won't be able to attend. In formal situations we use if were to talk about unlikely future events. If the Prime Minister were to resign, there would have to be a general election. This structure is more formal than standard second conditionals, and emphasizes that we think the situation is improbable. When we need to impose specific conditions or set limits, we use phrases like, as long as, so long as, only if, on condition that, providing, and provided. These are all similar in meaning but vary in formality. Providing is more common in speaking, while provided is more formal and appears more in writing. The bank lent money, on condition that it was repaid within 6 months. Or, and, otherwise, have conditional meanings. You've got to start studying, or you'll fail, means, if you don't start studying, you'll fail. Otherwise, works the same way, we'd better leave now, otherwise we'll miss the train. Supposing, or suppose, introduces hypothetical situations, similar to, what if? Supposing I don't arrive till after midnight, will the guest house still be open? This is common in spoken English when we're imagining possibilities. Now we get to inversion, which is very formal. In formal conditionals we can invert the subject and auxiliary verb, removing, if, entirely. With should you wish to cancel your order, please contact customer service, instead of, if you should wish to cancel. With had in third conditionals. Had I known you were waiting, I would have invited you instead of, if I had known. And with were to, for even more formal styles, were we to give up the campaign, it would be a disaster. These structures are common in business writing, legal documents, and formal speech. The zero conditional is the factual conditional. We use it for habits, scientific facts, and general truths, things that are always true. The structure is simple, if plus present simple in both clauses. You can replace if with whenever in zero conditionals. Use the zero conditional for your habits and routines. If it's hot, I go to the beach, describes what you always do when it's hot. Compare this with, if it's hot, I'll go to the beach, which is a first conditional about a specific future situation. The zero conditional is about repeated actions. The first conditional is about one specific occasion. Scientific facts are perfect for zero conditionals. If you heat ice, it melts. If you drop oil in water, it floats. If you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. These are universal truths that happen every time. We also use zero conditionals for general truths and instructions. If you need help, ask me is an instruction. If people eat too much, they get fat is a general truth. You can use the imperative in the result clause for instructions and rules. You can use past tenses in both clauses to describe past habits and past truths. If we had a day off from school, my mum took us to the beach. This describes what always happened in the past. The zero conditional is one of 3 ways to talk about past habits, along with used to and would. The first conditional talks about real future possibilities, things we think are quite likely to happen. The structure is if plus present simple, then will, plus infinitive. We use this for predictions, warnings, threats, offers, and suggestions about situations we believe are realistic. First conditionals cover predictions, superstitions, future plans, warnings and threats, and offers and suggestions. These are all real possibilities, not hypothetical. That's why we call this the real conditional. You can use modals like can or should in the result clause for offers or suggestions. If you get a new job, you should buy nicer clothes. You can also use the imperative. If you can't sleep, take a pill. The present perfect can appear in first conditionals. If you've never been to Rome, you'll love it. When I have saved enough money, I'm going to buy a car. This adds the idea of completed action before the result. Continuous tenses work too. If you're waiting for an answer, you'll be waiting for a long time. If you're going shopping today, I'll come with you. This makes the conditional feel more immediate and real. The second conditional talks about unreal or hypothetical situations in the present or future. The structure is if plus past simple, then would plus infinitive. We use were instead of was with I and he, she, /it in formal English. This is for imagining situations that are not true or are unlikely. We can use unless in second conditionals too. Unless I won the lottery, I wouldn't buy a Ferrari. Means if I didn't win the lottery, I wouldn't buy a Ferrari. Remember, unless means if not. Use second conditionals for present impossibilities. If I had his number, I would call him, but I don't have his number, so it's impossible. If I were you, I would apologize. But I'm not you, so this is hypothetical. This is the key difference from first conditionals. Second conditionals describe unreal situations. The third conditional is for past impossibilities, things that didn't happen. The structure is if plus past perfect, then would have plus past participle. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. But I didn't study harder, so I didn't pass. This expresses regret or imagining how the past could have been different. It's impossible to change the past, which is why we call this the impossible conditional. Mixed conditionals combine different time frames. Type 1. Past condition, present result. If I had studied medicine, I would be a doctor now. The condition is in the past. I didn't study medicine. The result is in the present. I'm not a doctor now. We use past perfect in the if clause, and would plus infinitive in the result clause. Type 2. Present condition, past result. If I wasn't afraid of heights, I would have gone skydiving yesterday. The condition is in the present. I am afraid of heights. The result is in the past. I didn't go skydiving. We use past simple in the if clause, and would have plus past participle in the result clause. Let's recap inversion in conditionals. Inversion is more formal than standard word order. In real conditionals, we invert with should. Should you require further information, please contact us instead of if you should require. This is only used in formal language like business correspondence. In unreal conditionals, inversions are common in formal language. Were the negotiations to fall through, it would bring problems, instead of if the negotiations were to fall through. Had they known about the strike, they would have driven, instead of if they had known. These structures elevate your English to a very formal, professional level. Can you use will or would in the conditional clause? Generally, no. We don't use will in if clauses because it's redundant. However, there is one exception. When the action in the if clause will happen after the action in the main clause. I will let you know if I will be late. The knowing happens before the lateness. This is rare but grammatically correct. Another exception is when will is used as a modal verb expressing willingness, not future tense. If you will just wait here, I'll get the manager. Here, will means are willing to. Similarly with would. If you would like to take a seat, someone will be with you shortly. These are polite formal expressions, where will and would express willingness, not future time. And that's the complete guide to conditional sentences in English, from 0 to third conditionals, mixed conditionals, inversion, and special structures. You now have everything you need to master conditionals at an advanced level. If you found this helpful, check out my other grammar materials in the description. Thanks for watching.